You remember? Come on. I'm testing your biblical knowledge. Was a storm came up, and it came quickly on a Sea of Galilee. And what's Jesus doing? Man, that is absolutely, that's really difficult to believe. But it says he was tired and he's asleep, and the boat is in such peril and danger it's sinking. They woke him up screaming at him, "What in the world wrong with you? How in the world can you go to sleep in the midst of this? Are you crazy? We're sinking." What did he say?
Peace be still.
Peace be still. What happened?
Wind and the waves ceased.
Wind and the waves ceased. You know what I mean? Let me tell you a little humor there. They're out in the midst of the Sea of Galilee. They got what they asked for, didn't they? The wind and the sea were what? Still. I bet that was a long 12 miles they had to row, thinking like no wind or the sails. And Jesus slept on. There is no peace that passes his understanding. Now, Judas had some selfishness about him, and he could not see clearly what Jesus was teaching and preaching. He was just concerned about money. That was what was foremost in his life. The disciples couldn't see the dark side of Judas, and we don't see the dark side hidden in us. A lot of times we're so busy just getting through life because money's what's important to pay the bills. We don't have to have a lot of it, but we sure want as much as we can get of it. Can selfishness in my life and in your life cause us not to appreciate the things that Jesus was preaching and teaching? In spite of all of the time that Judas spent in the proximity of Jesus, what went wrong? Why did he not fail to grasp? How can you be a disciple and be around a man that contains that kind of power and miss it? The disciples heard him say, "Why wasn't this given to me that I might give to the poor?" He didn't care anything about the poor. Sometimes we have an attitude of not caring about Christ in our lives because we don't really believe that there's going to be a judgment when this life ends. Today, it's happening to Christian people all around us in our churches. I'm here this morning to challenge you. Message is almost done. You'll be out of here and gone. But I'm trying to bring something to your attention. I'm wanting you to think more about Judas. Everybody tries to put Judas out of their mind. But you need to focus more on it. Because if you love this world and the things that it's got to offer you, you're never going to see and you're never, ever going to understand the clarity that Jesus was offering through his teachings. Going into the close of the message. Listen carefully. A young man came to Jesus seeking salvation. Do you remember this story? And apparently, folks, he understood the teachings that Jesus was bringing to the people. And what was Jesus saying? "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh unto the Father except by me." If you want salvation, it is by grace through faith I will die on the cross. It is by my shed blood for the remission of your sin. It is a gift, and if you want the gift, you have to ask for it. Clear on that point? Did you ever stop and think that that rich young ruler, understanding this, is saying, there's not going to be any need for sacrifices anymore? You see the temple priest now? I'm going to lose my job. He's got to be stopped. But Jesus made a twofold statement to that man. Do you remember what it was? Give up your fortune, follow me. Did you hear the two things I just said? Let me tell you. The first one was enough. Give up your what? That's all he heard. He never heard with clarity what Jesus offered him. You want to be one of my disciples? Get rid of the money, get rid of the worldly debris and clutter, and come join the greatest group of evangelists the world will ever know. The young man went away unhappy and unsatisfied, because he wasn't about to part with his money. Unchanged and unhappy, he went away. Let me tell you something. That little thing called greed can change your whole perspective in life toward not only people, but to Jesus Christ. And every head bowed, every eye closed. Listen very carefully. Father, this morning, if we stay focused on what's important just to us, just like the rich young man, he missed a double portion of the blessing. Judas and the rich man both never really surrendered to the teaching and the message of Jesus. Here are two men that were going to cling to what they wanted, to their selfishness. And their selfishness was going to keep them from knowing Jesus Christ. And Father, without clarity in what Jesus is teaching and preaching, we're not going to see any value in Jesus Christ. Our greed for this world and this life will put us in the shadow of Christ's love. The word deny self and follow me becomes ludicrous compared to wealth. But that still small voice continues to scream in every life. It continues to scream out, what are you going to give? What do you give in exchange for your soul? Father, help us to ask ourselves here this morning, what keeps us from knowing Jesus? This we ask in His name. Amen.
Page 294.